I think for me, the hardest part throughout this entire fight was to listen to state officials, people who are supposed to represent me as a citizen of the state of Ohio, and to hear them in court arguing that I'm less than other citizens. That was by far the most painful thing, to actually have your government fight against you and to, in essence, stand up in a courtroom and say, you don't matter, you are not the same as other people, you are less than, you are second class. Our love is just as valid and just as worthy of protection and respect as any other love. And the fact that standing up for that love led to such a momentous change in our country just proves that love is a very powerful force. The Supreme Court justices were able to look at our relationships and our families and recognize that the love that they share, the commitments that they've made, deserve the same respect as any other couple, as any other family, and they deserve the full protection of the Constitution, just like any other couple does. I'm Jim Obergefell, and I consider myself an accidental activist, and I happen to be the named plaintiff in the Supreme Court case that brought marriage equality to the United States. Hey Reddit, ask me anything. I think one of the most important things for any social justice cause is to build a sense of community and cooperation with other organizations. For example, in my fight to the Supreme Court, I started with my local civil rights attorney, but then the ACLU got involved, Lambda Legal got involved. I've worked a lot with HRC. And while these are organizations that at some points, maybe they don't necessarily work together, or there may have been difficulties in the past, and not just these organizations, but this can be any organization. They all work together. It was a common cause. As far as the cost of getting to the Supreme Court, I look at that from my personal perspective. I invested a lot of time and effort, emotion into this fight. And for me, it was a very easy decision to make. John and I, from the very moment we decided to file suit, we knew there would be a cost to it for us personally, both in our privacy, our personal lives, and time and effort. But it was something that was very important to us, and it was an incredibly easy decision to make. So I think this Supreme Court ruling is already changing the US and will continue to change the US. It's one more step in the LGBT community just coming out and making themselves part of the American society, part of American culture, and helping break down those preconceived notions that people might have about who we are and what type of people we are. As people marry, and across the country, as gay and lesbian couples get married and their neighbors, their community members see that and get to know them, it just helps continue to break down those preconceived notions, and people realize, well, you know what, this couple is exactly like my brother and sister-in-law. They want the same thing. They simply want to be welcomed, respected, and be able to commit themselves to the person that they love and to enjoy all of those same things that other couples do. And only good can come of this. We'll have bumps along the way, absolutely, but this just moves us further along towards where we should be as a country. Going to the San Francisco Pride Parade blew me away. And that parade, it was long, and I cried the entire time because I was overwhelmed by the love I felt from the million people lining the streets of San Francisco. And the thousands of people who, as I rode by, who were just mouthing thank you at me and crying, and people holding up their kids and just being proud that they could point me out to their kid, and I could tell they were saying to their kid, that's the guy who is making a better world for you. And that parade was one of the most overwhelming experiences I've had, because it was nothing but joy and love. And I agree, it felt more raw and much less of a crazy party, but much more of a celebratory party, because everyone along that parade route felt better that day, and people were celebrating the fact that our world had just become a better world. So it was a great weekend for me of Pride parades, and something I will never forget. There were so many people and so many important things wrapped up into this case that we had to walk out feeling optimistic, because there were just too many important things, too many important people to let myself feel negative about it or to feel uncertain. It just wasn't something I could do. I had to walk out feeling we're going to win, because it meant so much, not only to me, but to all of my other co-plaintiffs and to people across the country. So I walked out thinking we won, but in the back of my mind, there's always that seed of doubt. You don't know what could happen. But yeah, I felt pretty good that we were going to get good news in June. I can honestly say John and I have been very fortunate. From the moment we decided to file our suit, and for the 2 years since, I've received 2 pieces of mail that weren't threats, but they were clearly from someone who disagreed with our fight and did not believe that we deserved the right to have our marriage recognized. And after the decision this June, I received a threat via Facebook, but that's been it. I've experienced no physical threats, no physical issues from any person in the United States. And I've been all across the country and in a lot of public places, and I realize that I am fortunate. I'm lucky that I can say that, because unfortunately, too many in the LGBT community are unable to say that. There are certain people who don't believe the LGBT community deserves equality or even deserves the right to live. And it's something that as a global community, we need to address. We need to educate people and to spread the message around the world that we are people no different from anyone else. I didn't have a chance to actually see the White House in the rainbow colors, but I had a lot of friends who did, so I got a lot of pictures, and it really made me feel proud. Having had the chance to speak with President Obama and just knowing the ally he has been for the LGBT community, it made me really happy and even more proud to be an American. That day in the courtroom, I felt more like an equal American than I had in a very long time. And then to see the president's home, the symbol of our country, lit up in rainbow colors, just brought it home that I do live in a country that is on my side. And to have our president order the White House to be lit that way just really made me happy. When the 6th District Court of Appeals issued their ruling and they ruled against us, that was painful. And the ruling was difficult to read and hurtful. And that was one of those moments when I had that internal discussion. Well, at this point, I have options. I could simply say, I'm done, John had passed away by that point, and I could have stepped back and not continued to fight. But that was never a serious consideration, because even losing in the Court of Appeals, I knew I was on the right side and I had to keep fighting for my husband. So even though that Court of Appeals ruling was painful and hurtful, and definitely a low point in this whole process, to step back and quit and not to fight wasn't something I could do. I had to live up to my commitments to my husband. Everything you just said is thank you enough for me. And to know that you have someone you love and someone that you'll fight for and stand up for, that's the best thank you I can possibly get. Just knowing that people across our country now can be married everywhere. You know, the fact that so many people have thanked me because Friday morning, June 26th, they woke up and they were married in 37 states. But later that day, they were married in all 50 states. It's things like that that have made this entire fight so worth it. Even knowing that John would die only 3 months after we filed suit, if I could go back in time, I would still do this. It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to stand up for my husband, to stand up for the love of my life, and to stand up for everyone like you across this country who believes in equality and everyone who wants to make that commitment to the person they love. So be proud of who you are. Enjoy that relationship. Be proud of your relationship. Fight for the person you love. And raise a glass of champagne someday in John's honor. John and I loved champagne. John always thought, champagne, why save it for a special occasion? Every day that you're alive and able to breathe and with someone you love is a special occasion. So, love the person you love and have a good life.